Yep, this is just what 2022 is now. 1 month, maybe a fluke, 2 months, a trend. And there were attempts to shake things up this month. None of them worked. In fact, the only song to break into the top 10 was... Yeah, this rancid thing. You know something's gone awry when the mediocre chorus everyone plays when they talk about the song is the best part. Outside of that, all you get is a lumpy, janky beat and Dan Reynolds fumbling his way through his own pity party.
Your words up on the wall as you're praying for my phone, and the laughter in the holes and the names that I've been called.
No, Dan, people don't dunk on Imagine Dragons just because they don't like you. They dunk on Imagine Dragons because the music keeps getting worse. How the hell do you go from this to this?
Only one of us gonna make it out alive, and it's not you.
That's why your band has a bad rap, my dude. I say band as if they aren't just a Dan Reynolds vanity project at this point. I will give the League of Legends community props for unintentionally making this song very funny by desperately trying to contort one man's whinging into something relevant to the show. But no, it's not, y'all. Good effort, though.
Okay, I'm hoping that somebody pray for me. I'm praying that somebody hope for me.
Oh, and there's JID's verse, which is barely worth discussing because his flow is so mismatched to the beat that it sounds like his verse came from an entirely different song. Because it did.
And the kids in the dark that were doomed from the start, the child in the basement, face at the pavement.
Dan Reynolds originally did the verse himself, but for whatever reason, they took a JID verse from an unfinished demo and just slapped it onto the song instead. And you can tell it was a spur-of-the-moment decision, because the way his verse ends is just...
Back it up on panic, batter up. Who the baddest? It don't matter, cause we is your...
Everybody wants to be my enemy.
Comedy gold, possibly the worst transition ever put to record. This is just embarrassing on every front, and further proof we no longer have any need for the dragon we imagined. So, will this be the first Jack Harlow song I like?
10 toes, that's my MO.
No. It feels like the worst possible outcome of Harlow, fresh off the high of scoring a #1 hit, going to his producers and telling them, hey, give me like an Industry Baby type beat. And since the producers aren't Day Tripper Kanye, the beat just sucks.
Walk around with my chest out and my skin smooth, I'm healthy. I'm in a mix and I'm handshaking, but most of y'all can't help me.
I'm pretty sure the horns and the bass are in different keys because the way they blend sounds out of tune, even though the horns sound fine by themselves. Thin and cheap, but not, you know, wrong like they do once the bass kicks in. So, okay, the beat's bad, so it can't elevate Harlow to passable status like it did on Industry Baby. And on top of that, he just gives us nothing.
Told her I don't come from heaven, you can try though. I'm not on top of this shit yet, but I'm that guy though.
Like, I'm not huge on What's Poppin' or his verse in Industry Baby, but I recognize he at least had punchlines, had witty lyricism, had charisma. Here, he's both bragging about and talking about the struggles of fame, and it just ends up making him sound really defensive, which, yeah, I really can't stand when people get this defensive. It just rubs me the wrong way. This certainly isn't the worst song I've heard or anything, but it's just not good at all either. You know, never expected to hear an ode to vacuum robots, but I guess anything's possible.
Let me be your woman.
Roomba, Roomba, Roomba. I literally can't hear anything else there. It's driven me insane for months. Help. Anyways, it's pretty neat we're getting some genuine Afrobeat hits now. Between this, Essence, and Love Mon TT. I'd struggle to say I'm particularly fond of the sound, but it's not unpleasant either.
She give tenfold, come here, pop up, plant your seed.
That being said, this song doesn't really give me much to work with. It's basically just Doja being horny for 3 minutes, which apparently people are giving her a lot of crap for, and like, guys, a song called Thinking of My Dick just debuted on the charts. Let Doja be horny if she wants to. That being said, calling this just her being horny is kind of reductive. There's an underlying empowerment angle to this, celebrating and elevating womanhood, and like, yeah, that's pretty rad, I guess, but also, can I just say...
Let me be your woman.
Daddy is such a terrible word. It sounds creepy when girls use it, and even creepier when guys use it. Which, speaking of creepy guys, it's nice to see another Doja hit that Dr. Luke isn't involved with in any way. Like, he's probably still getting paid for it. I guess I shouldn't be covering this. Oh, fun fact, the guy who did that awful Classic Man song back in 2015 has a writing credit on this. And Charlie XCX has a writing credit on Classic Man. So that puts Doja at 2 degrees of separation from Charlie. Hope they collab soon. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts about the song itself. What is there to say? It's basically the perfect average of all music ever. Next.
You said you hated the ocean, but you're surfing now.
What?
Así es la vida, sí. Yeah, that's just life, baby.
The first time I listened to this song, I had an experience with it. See, I'm very rhythm sensitive, and this song, well, it's disorienting to say the least. The instrumentation emphasizes the offbeat in a lot of places. The vocal rhythms are incredibly haphazard and awkward, and it felt like the song was using weird time signatures or some nonsense, despite being all in 4/4. That's just how bizarre it sounded. I actually had to add a click track just to get my brain to understand parts of it, and even then it sounds off.
I said I love you for life, but I just sold our house.
Okay. Alright, I see.
And on the surface, I held it together, but underneath, I sort of came unwound.
Yeah, that makes... Wait, what? What the hell is Ed Sheeran doing here? What?
I've been the breaker and broken, every mistake turns to more.
Like, didn't we learn our lesson last time? And why is Ed Sheeran showing up on this Latin pop track? What do you mean Ed Sheeran just released 2 collabs with J Balvin? What the actual hell is going on? Okay, well, back on track.
I was barely standing, but now I'm dancing. He's all over me.
I think the reason the rhythm is so confusing is that there's no real low end here. All the percussion is mid-range, the other instruments are all mid to high range, and there's no thumping, pulsing rhythm to ground it, meaning the actual beat gets lost. And well, it's kind of a dance song, so not having that ground and rhythm, how are you supposed to dance to this? That aside, the content is basically just oh my god again, but with a side of salsa. Post-breakup, Camila is finding that she can just do whatever she wants. Fall in love with someone else, live her life to the fullest. Which again, hell yeah girl, that's not a bad premise for a song or anything, but I just don't find it super compelling. Having oriented myself on this one, I can say now that, yeah, it's pretty alright, but I don't think it was worth the amount of work it took to figure out what the hell was happening in the first place. You know, it feels weird to call a song that debuted in the top 20 a flop, but considering it's a collab between 2 of the biggest names in music right now, during the most stagnant and weak charts in recent memory, it's hard not to see it as one. Maybe it was the title? Sweetest Pie is not a good euphemism. Oh, and man, am I glad I haven't had Little Debbie snacks in like 15 years or so. Thanks, Megan. Yeah, we need less food sex songs just as a general rule. It might also be the incessant repetition of that title. Every line in the chorus ends with it, no matter how awkward or detached it feels. The song also has a weird structure. It leads with the hook, Megan gets a verse, back to the hook, Dua and Megan each get a short verse, then Dua repeats the intro line again before the last chorus and outro. There's a weird amount of space between the second and third chorus. It just feels awkward. I have to assume this was done to avoid having 4 choruses, but the chorus is already so repetitive that it doesn't really matter.
You've never been to heaven, have you?
But like, the song itself, it sounds pretty good. It's basically just one of Megan's standard bass-heavy beats, drenched in 80s synths to fit Dua's retro aesthetic. Though it'd be a stretch to call this new disco like your future nostalgia hits. The hook has a kind of catchy melody, Megan's decently on point with her flow, it's also very fine. You're not gonna find any real surprises here though. It's the most boring possible fusion of Megan and Dua's styles. Maybe that's why it feels so underwhelming despite being, you know, pretty dang solid. So, story time. Back in like the summer of 2012 or so, I got into a newly released MMO called Eden Eternal, and it pretty much dominated my life for like an entire year. Because MMOs are great for playing in the foreground while listening to music in the background, but of course, I eventually got tired of it and just stopped playing. Flash forward to just last week, almost a decade later, and I randomly remember it again, only to find out the servers were shut down for good about a year ago. And like, I was probably never going to play it again anyways, but still, that was kinda sad to learn. The kind of thing that makes certain songs hit harder, like, well, okay, Goodbye to a World first and foremost, but on a more relevant note,
If you got a chance, take it while you got a chance.
yeah, I teased this one last month, so it should be no surprise that I love it, and I'm thrilled to see it's pretty much locked for the year end at this point. With that in mind, I'm probably going to keep the rest of this segment short, because, well, for one, I've basically said everything worth saying either in last month's episode or in my preamble here, but also because, well, you know, December things.
You can always get around to fixing up that Pontiac till you can't.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm turning 29 in a few months, getting close to 30, starting to feel old despite not really being that old, wondering how many chances I've already missed out on and how many more I don't even know I'm missing out on right now. And this song just encapsulates those feelings really well and sounds damn great while doing it. Like, Cody Johnson isn't a great singer, but that's about the only bad thing I can say about what's otherwise one of my favorite songs of the year. And that's a wrap for this month. If you think a song I didn't talk about should have been featured this month, no it shouldn't have. I'm not holding out hope that next month is going to be any better than these past few, but at least the summer hit parade is hopefully on the horizon, and we'll see what happens. Until next time, caw caw y'all.